Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. I am thrilled to be back here. This is the 8th year that I've had the opportunity to be at this luncheon, and the only strange thing that happens every year is that the women and girls get prettier, and the men and the boys get handsomer, and I don't know how that happens every year, but I'm glad to see it anyhow. So, Al, when I was watching that video and heard the comment came about your hair with the afro, I remember when we first met 8 years ago, your hair was, you didn't have an afro, but it was jet black. And I had hair, so it was a different thing. So I'll take where you are as opposed to where I've been right now. But I do want to say something seriously about your tenure here. The Nielsen Company has the opportunity to sponsor scores of events, support organizations throughout the country, and I can say unequivocally over the past 8 years what you've done with 100 Black Men and your leadership group is unsurpassed in the quality of what you've done, the performance of what the organization has done, and what you've offered to not only the cities but the country, and you deserve a great deal of credit for that, Al. So you will be missed. And before I make my formal remarks, which I promise will be brief, I want to acknowledge the honorees, Dr. Browns and Dr. Franklin, if they're here. I didn't meet them, but they're here. And the Massey brothers, who I just met. I should know them because they do television, and Nielsen does television, but I don't get a lot of Nickelodeon or Disney in my house. But you'll see them again in other places besides television, I'm sure of that. Some of you may be familiar with Nielsen because of the Nielsen ratings. We provide estimates on household television viewing in 105 million households nationwide. But in addition, we collect information on what people view on the internet, their activities when they use their mobile phones, and the purchases of consumer packaged goods. We collect a variety of important information, including a few interesting demographic facts that I thought might be of interest to you today. Did you know that African Americans make up 13.6% of the total population in the United States, which is around 43 million people? Blacks currently spend $967 billion annually. Based on this figure alone, if African Americans were a country, we would be the 16th largest economy in the world, bigger than Australia and Taiwan. African American projected spending will be $1.1 trillion by 2015, just 2.5 short years away. Also, did you know that between 2000 and 2009, the number of African American households earning $75,000 a year grew by almost 64%. That's a rate of 12% higher than the overall population. And the percentage of African American households earning $50,000 a year or less has decreased. And finally, did you know between 2000 and 2009, the percentage of African Americans 25 years old and over attending college or earning some type of a college degree grew by 45% for men and 53% for women. And 81% of African American adults have obtained a diploma or a GED. Now, I use all of that to share those facts with you as a reminder to everyone in this room, but specifically to the young people, that the African American community that you are part of has tremendous economic power. It's a community of growing incomes, and the community places high value on education. All of that means that despite some rough patches we all know we're going through, there's tremendous opportunity for you to achieve success in any path of life you decide to take. You already have a head start by being part of the 100 Black Men of America. This is a tremendous advantage to everyone in this room, and I encourage you to take full advantage of all the things that are available at this conference and all of the conferences that the 100 Black Men do nationwide. You'll reap the benefits today, tomorrow, and for many years to come. Thanks again for allowing me to spend some time with you, and have a fabulous conference.
Please welcome Mr. Jacoby McCurdy, store manager of the Walmart.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today and take part in the Salute Award Luncheon. Salute to Youth Award Luncheon. I am a great admirer of the nation's youth, perhaps because I used to be one. I'm also a great admirer of the 100 Black men of America, the outstanding work you do. President Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, "We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future." Today, no one is doing more than the 100 to build this country's young people for the future. Whether it's the mentoring or tutoring of minority students that this organization is well known for, or the work you do to provide special opportunities and scholarships. Your new emphasis on the STEM fields is right in sync with America's needs. This country needs more scientists, technologists, engineers, and mathematicians. And we want to see more African-American youngsters aspiring to those critical roles. The dean of a prominent engineering school says that math and science are the broccoli of America, and American kids need to eat more broccoli. Her metaphorical reference makes me think of another 100 program with a special resonance for us at Walmart. Your newly engaged battle against childhood obesity. We are partners in the same fight. Back in January 2011, we announced alongside First Lady Michelle Obama an initiative aimed at providing our customers with more healthier food choices. It includes increased funding for nutrition programs to help educate consumers about healthier food choices. Earlier this year, we announced nearly $10 million in grants to organizations with a shared mission of promoting healthy eating habits. The funding supports nutrition education programs, as well as classes that focus on learning how to cook and shop for healthier food on a budget. And it will provide live cooking demonstrations in the communities nationwide. The grants are just one of many ways Walmart works in traditionally underserved communities as a fit with the activism of the 100. As a company dedicated to helping people around the globe live better, we're delighted to partner with you. Thank you again for inviting me here today, and congratulations on your boundless appetite for finding new ways to help youth succeed. Thank you.
Please welcome Mr. Matthew Ware with the 100 Black Men of America's DeKalb chapter.
Chairman Dodson, I'm coming to tell you I am not Lamont Houston anymore. I went outside and got a tan and came back as Matthew Ware. I'd like to bring you greetings from the humble community serving 100 Black Men of DeKalb. I'm proud to stand here with my host chapters, South Metro, North Metro, and my friends from Atlanta. We're all here to serve these young people, and this is no better place to be. I trust while you're here that you meet a new friend, that you go and meet some of our sponsors in these breakout sessions, and that you learn how to be a better mentor and how to better serve your community. I've enjoyed being a part of this 100 Black Men organization. I saw our brothers from London here, and we have 3 young men from London here serving with the DeKalb chapter as a part of our international program. We have another brother who's working with our health initiative. So at DeKalb, we rolled up our sleeves, and we want to be a very strong part of this organization and hope that some of the things we do can transfer to some of the other chapters around the country. So I'm leaving you with this, that remember we're 116 chapters, but we're all with one voice and one mission, and that's to better mentor the 100 way. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here again is your MC, Lamman Rucker.
That's me. Oh, all right. What page we on, Chairman Johnson? What page? Page 1. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I'm just acting a little bit. Thank you. Hope you're enjoying your lunch. Back to the script, folks. Again, I hope you all enjoyed the lunch. Let's hear it for the incredible staff here at the Hyatt and their service and courtesy and hospitality. Please continue to finish your lunch. And during that time that you continue to eat your dessert very quietly, we're going to have our incredible speaker take some time to inspire you. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Calvin Mackie. Dr. Mackie is the president and CEO of Channel Zero Group, an educational and motivational consulting company and partner with Golden Leaf Energy, an alternative fuel producer and distributor. In 2009, then Louisiana Lieutenant Governor Mitch Landrieu appointed Dr. Mackie to the Louisiana Council on the Social Status of Black Boys and Black Men, and he is leading the state's efforts to create policy and programs to positively impact the quality of life of black males and families throughout the state of Louisiana. After starting college in remedial reading because of weak SAT scores, Dr. Calvin Mackie earned a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering degree from Georgia Tech, a bachelor's degree in mathematics from Morehouse College, a master's and PhD in mechanical engineering, again from Georgia Tech. All that from remedial reading. He is an award-winning mentor, a former engineering professor, an internationally renowned speaker, and a successful entrepreneur. His message as a mentor, speaker, and entrepreneur transcends race, gender, ethnicity, religion, and time. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Calvin Mackie.
First, I'd like to give thanks to God for giving me the mental, physical, and spiritual strength to stand before you. Brother Brandon, bro, God can't get one. I'd like to say thank you to the 100 black men for being here and doing the things that you all do, especially in the lives of these young people, because one day I was a young person just like many of these young people. 1986, 87, I was running around the city of Atlanta, buck wild, and people like Tommy Deutsch and Herman Reese and Dr. Norm Johnson, and they used to walk up behind me, hit me behind my head, and you know, I turned out halfway all right. Thank you for them slaps. Thank you, Chairman Dotson, for your effort and what you've given this organization over the last 18 years and definitely the last 8 years as chairman. We'll never be the same organization, and thank God we're not where we were when you took over, because your job was to take us forward, and the next chairman going to take us even further, so thank you for your service. I'd like to say thank you to my president, Dr. Franklin from Morehouse College, my alma mater. Yeah, you're right. I'd like to say thank you to everyone on the dais. I'd like to say thank you to Brandon for that beautiful invocation. It was one of those. I'd like to say thank you to all the 100 black men from all over this world for giving of yourself and of your time. I'd like to say thank you to the parents who are here today. Thank you to the volunteers. Thank you to the sponsors, because without you doing your civic duty, this wouldn't be possible. I say thank you to the young people for coming out, taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know you got places to be and people to see and things to do. So we're happy you joined us here. I spent a lot of time saying thank you, because it seemed like we've been able to raise an entire generation of young people who don't know the meaning of words like thank you, excuse me, hard work, sacrifice, persistence, and I don't want to be confused with them because my mother raised me differently. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right, now my name is Calvin Mackie, and I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm from back of town, Gertown, Zion City. I'm from that Lower 9 where we don't mind dying. I'm from that Wild Magnolia. I thought I told you. I'm from that CP3. You know me. So don't be acting all brand new. Lamman, thank you for that introduction, bro. Don't be acting all brand new with me. I'm going to take you all on a little journey. This is called Salute to the Youth. A lot of times you all bring in speakers and they speak to the adult. They told me to come in here and hit the youth, hit them where they live, Mackie, bring it to them. So a lot of things that I may say, they may need some translation. So all the youth in the room translate to the adults what I'm saying. They're translators for the day. And before I get started, I have to give you all a couple of caveats. My beautiful wife, Tracy, happens to be a pharmacist, and she believes that I'm ADD, and I've never been treated before. So it's going to be hard, Al, to just stand at this podium, because you know how I get down, Tommy. I'm going to try not to throw it out there, because I'm passionate. You know, I'm passionate. And caveat number 2, don't confuse my passion with anger. You see, a lot of times when people like me who has an opinion about my life and my existence in a place called America, when I get through, people say, oh, that's one angry black man there. And my question is, I ain't angry, I'm just passionate. And more importantly, if I am angry, the real question is, why are you not angry? If you look at the situation and the status of black males in many of our cities across this country, I want to know why many of us are not more angry. I wonder why we're not marching in the street, why we're not upset. Then you're going to say I'm angry. No, I'm passionate. I'm passionate about being who I am. I'm passionate about the kids that we all are working with. I'm passionate about the work that we need to do. No, I'm not angry. I'm passionate. And James Baldwin said, a passion is unfriendly. He said, a passion is arrogant. And he said, a passion is contemptuous of all which is not itself. But he said, a passion contains a challenge. And more importantly, it contains an unspeakable hope. And everywhere I go challenging everybody that has anything to do with our children, and I go with an unspeakable hope. And that's what 100 black men bring to the table everywhere we go, hope. People think we're in a mentoring business. We ain't in a mentoring business. We need to stop saying that. We're in the business of hope. We don't understand this thing called hope. See, to get from despair to change, you got to go through something called hope. Hope is the thing that caused the old lady named Rosa Parks to sit down and caused an entire nation to stand up. Hope is what turned Detroit red into Malcolm X. Detroit is what made George Washington Carver do with a peanut 100 years ago, what Harvard PhDs still can't do today. Hope is the thing that caused Tuskegee Airmen to believe that they actually can fly airplanes. Hope is the thing that turned crackheads into preachers and prostitutes into teachers. Crack is the thing that made Martin Luther King dream in the daytime with his eyes open when people were trying to kill him. Hope is the thing. Hope is the thing that took me, a little boy from New Orleans, and not having me sit down with kings and queens. Hope is the thing that took 100 black men in 1963 that eventually turned into an organization in 1986 called 100 Black Men, such that 26 years later, we are celebrating them today. Hope is the thing that made John F. Kennedy say, don't ask what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Even our founding fathers, his own slave, said we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men was created equal. Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me a little black boy with a white mom and a funny name and a goat-herding daddy believed he can be president. Many people said he couldn't, but we told him, yes, you. Hope, hope, hope. No, that's the business we into. That's the business we into. We got educational reform right now in this country, and it has no hope. Now we have smart white boys and dumb black children. Where's the hope? We got to put our hands back on our children. You mold clay. And as an engineer, I want you to know, when you don't mold clay, it still takes a shape. So the problem that we're seeing with our youth out in the street, we're just looking at clay that nobody decided to put their hands on. No, thank you, 100 black men. Thank you for 100 black men for standing up and doing the things that we're supposed to do and mold our children. No, we got to get this thing right. We got to get this thing right. Because, see, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. They only give me a little time, so I'm going to make this one quick. You see why we playing? You see why we clowning? You see why we tripping? See why we watching TV? See why we trying to do the soldier boy? See why we trying to do the Dougie? See why we worrying about mindless behavior? See why we worrying about the Atlanta house hussies? See why we worrying about who's going to sleep with Kim Kardashian next? See why we worrying about Beyonce and Jay-Z and a baby named Blue? See why we worrying about all that? I want to let you in on a little secret. I want to let you in on a little secret. Right now, at this moment, there's a little kid in India and a little kid in China studying under the cloak of darkness, till a candle, preparing for the day to kick our children behinds, and it ain't even personal. It ain't even personal. No, they don't care if they're black. They don't care if they're white. They don't care if they're Asian. They don't care if they're Hispanic. They just want to take advantage of the opportunities that our children are not taking advantage of in a place called America. Young people, keep tripping. Keep tripping. This world gonna show you something. See, in the 21st century, you gotta have skills to pay the bills. The man or woman who doesn't have skills, ask people how much they pay. The man or woman who has skills, tell people how much they charge. Young people, we here today to make sure that you all get you some skills. Nah, but y'all been listening to the wrong people. Somebody done lied to you. They lying to you, and you taking it hook, line, and sinker. See, Jay-Z said, I'm a hustler, baby. I just want you to know it's not where I've been, but where I'm about to. But he never told you where he was about to go. Every time you see Jay-Z now, he don't have on no big baggy jeans or no big white tee or no hoodie on his head. Every time you see Jay-Z now, he has on because he always was about the suit. But he so used self-hate, misogyny, and disrespect such that he can make enough money and be up in the press box at the Super Bowl with me and George Bush. Somebody been had, somebody been took, somebody been run amok, somebody been hoodwinked, somebody been bamboozled, and it looks like you. Young people, if you in the game and you ain't the pimp, then you are the I didn't say it. Keep it real. Come on, keep it real. No, Jason, you from Detroit. You from that 313. You know how they do it down there. Nah, we got to keep this thing real because that's how y'all live. We real. We keeping it real, dog. And then when somebody bring it real to you, you can't handle it. And I'm sorry, young people, because we done messed this thing up. We messed it up for you. We done ripped the wisdom out of education. The things that made us be able to do, that we was able to do when we had nothing, we ripped out of this thing called life. We ripped out of this thing called education, and we didn't give it to you. And I'm not talking about Pookie and Ray Ray. I'm talking about middle-class black people. We done ripped it out. If we can get the middle-class kids right, then Pookie and Ray Ray and Shanae have somebody to look up to and inspire to what they're trying to do. We ripped this thing called wisdom out of education. My grandmother died at the age of 87 in 1986. She was born in 1899. Was a nanny on a live oak plantation. Died functionally illiterate, but she taught more by accident than most people did on purpose. She'll trip and teach her, like she'll trip and be like, oh, baby, don't let the cracks in the world stop you. Keep going. Keep going. Teach her. My grandmother gave me 6 lessons, so if we hold on to them, they'll transform our lives. We go get PhDs and MDs, and my grandmother was functionally illiterate and had more wisdom than we got now with all of our degrees. My grandmother used to say things like this: every closed eye ain't sleep. Everything done in the dark ain't gone. Misery loves company. Birds of a feather flock together. And if you lay down with dogs, get with fleas. PhD. PhD. The only problem is that too many of our young ladies are laying down with dogs and getting up with more than fleas. Nah. Now all our young men want to be dog. What up, dog? What up, dog? Everybody want to be a dog. Instead of calling yourself dog, why don't you spell it in reverse? Instead of D-O-G, why don't you become G-O-D? God on this earth with a mission and a vision for your family and your community. Nah. Keep it real, bruh. You see, because hope saved me. I'm a Hurricane Katrina evacuee, a Hurricane Katrina refugee, and a Hurricane Katrina survivor. And as young Jeezy would say, I'm a soul survivor. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, my family lost 29 houses. I used to be a professor at Tulane, first and only African-American ever tenured in the history of the College of Engineering at Tulane. But in the aftermath of the greatest engineering disaster in the history of this country, the president of Tulane University made an unbelievable decision. He decided to keep the football team and eliminate the engineering program. So I was shown the door. And the message that the president of Tulane University sent to the children of New Orleans is the message that this country is sending to black boys and girls all over this nation every day. The message that he sent is that you can come to this institution and you can run that rock, dunk that ball, stop and drop it like it's hot and entertain us, but don't you think about coming to our university and getting an engineering degree and saving yourself and your community from the next natural disaster. So now every major university can go in Miami or go in New Orleans and go to Detroit and go to a so-called bad high school and get a brother to play football and recruit him to UGA or Georgia Tech, bring him on campus, and the education at that school is good enough for him to matriculate at that school. But the same brother sitting next to him who wants to be a scientist, wants to be a doctor, who wants to be an engineer, and who may even have better grades, they tell him the education that you got at that school is not good enough to come to our university and get those degrees. No, they don't value who we are. When we begin to value who we are, then we're going to be to understand the things that we need to put into our kids so that they get up and they start chasing books and they start chasing knowledge like a crackhead chases crack. Nah, I don't want you, they ain't got to clap. Nah. After Hurricane Katrina, 8 people moved into my house. Young people, this real talk. Now I lost my job. I had a guaranteed job, tenure presidents. First and only African-American ever tenured. And I roll up at my house. And the dude up in my tree, Tommy, cutting the tree, he looked down, he said, Doc. I'm like, what up, man? Opened my door, and my 2 sons, Miles and Mason, they run to me and they grab my leg. They said, Daddy. I said, love you, son. I go in the, I look over their shoulder in the train in the middle of the floor just playing by itself. I go in the kitchen and my beautiful wife cooking for all the 10 people in our house. She cooking red beans, she cooking jambalaya, she frying catfish, she got the vent on, she got the air conditioner on, they got the lights on, they got the windows open. I just see money going out the window. I gotta love you, baby. My little nephew had moved in with me. He's sitting in the corner. He got his iPad plugged in, a computer plugged in, a radio in. He got headphones plugged in. He got the TV on. My old uncle had moved in with me. He's sitting in a great room with a 62-inch television watching CNN all day like this. My older brother had moved in with me. He upstairs. He upstairs with the TV on, the radio on, the computer on. He got the air conditioner on. I'm like, bro, can't you just come down here with us? And my daddy had moved in with me. The week before Hurricane Katrina, my dad had been diagnosed with level 2 lung cancer. Young people, the day of Hurricane Katrina, he was supposed to get his treatment, but we had to evacuate. It took us 6 weeks to get him back in the system. After we got him back in the system, it couldn't re-diagnose him because the water destroyed all of the records. It took them 2 more weeks to re-diagnose him. After the time they re-diagnosed him, they found out the cancer had spread to all over his body. And this big old strong man, in the aftermath of Katrina, lost his business, his house, and eventually his life. He moved in with me. And young people, I thank God I had done something with my life such that when my daddy needed me, when this imperfect man needed me, I was able to do something for him. And my daddy moved in with me. He on hospice. He in the corner with his oxygen machine plugged in. He waving. Plugged in, that was the problem. And I'm standing in the middle of the floor thinking, all these people depending upon me, and I done lost my, and I thought about the 2 things that my mother and father taught me, young people. My mama taught me that a job may be your resource, but God is your source. And my daddy taught me that a man's supposed to get up every day and go out and hunt and kill, or he shall not eat. Young people, I went in my room, I fell on my knees, I prayed, I got up the next day, and since I had skills to pay the bills, since I had put education in my head, I was able to take care of me and mine. Young people, I don't care what nobody say. You better get all the education you can get, and you better get more and more and more. And when you get tired of getting education, you know what you better do? You better get some more. Young people, the point I'm trying to make is that you all better work hard, work hard, work hard. I'm sorry, maybe you misunderstanding me. The point I'm trying to make is that you better hustle, hustle, hustle hard, because a closed mouth don't get fed on this boulevard. No, real talk. If I don't speak, my family doesn't eat. Now, the question is, how you going to feed your family? That's why we do what we do. Growing up in the city of New Orleans, I grew up in a house with no books. My father dropped out in school in the 8th grade to pick cotton, and my mother went to a state-approved Negro high school. Young man, I thought I was like y'all. I thought I was going to go to the NBA and save my family. I had a wicked crossover and a jump shot that just wouldn't quit. Every time I would come to the gym, the whole gym would go, shh, because they knew it was going to be raining threes all night long. And you know, like Kanye West say, wait till I get my money right, nobody can't tell me nothing. And young people, nobody could tell me nothing. They told me to get my education, but I wouldn't listen. Right then and there, one night I was playing basketball, and I took a long jump shot. Sergeant Major Lacey, that ball ricocheted off the rim, and I went to get the ball, but a young man beat me to the ball. He grabbed my ball in my arm, and they went that way. I went this way, and I suffered a traumatic shoulder separation. My coach picked me up. He said, oh, no, Calvin. He took me to the hospital. We got to the hospital. A doctor came in. A doctor looked, and a doctor said, oh, no, and he ran back out. Doctor came back in with 3 more doctors. All 4 of the doctors got around me, and they took a sheet, and they tied me up. They did a tug-of-war and popped my shoulder back in. They said, young man, there's 2 things we want to tell you. And I went gangster on them. I'm like, what? They said, 1, you suffered a traumatic shoulder separation, and 2, you'll never be able to play basketball again. Young man, my dreams were destroyed, but nobody could tell me nothing. Right then and there, the doctors told me to go have surgery, but I wouldn't listen. Young people, when you won't listen, you're already part of the walking, breathing, living dead with no future and no hope. I wouldn't listen. So 20 years later, and 30 more shoulder separations, I separated my shoulder at University of Michigan, speaking before 3,000 people. My shoulder popped out. The client ran up on the stage. He said, "What's wrong, Mac?" I said, "My shoulder out." He said, "What to do?" I said, hold me. And he grabbed me, he put his arms around me. 2 men on the stage that held her. He said, "What to do?" I said, "Man, move my shoulder." He moved my shoulder, and he popped it back in. Bam! He grabbed the mic. He said, "Look, we got to end this." Dr. Mackie separated his shoulder. I jerked the mic out of his hand. I said, "No, man." I said, "I got 2 sons, and every day I teach my sons that Mackie men are smart. They must finish what they start. Young people, you got to finish this race." Finished the speech, came home, went to the hospital, put me through 4 hours of surgery. After 4 hours of surgery, I had to go through 18 months of rehab. After 18 months of rehab, now this is only as high as I can raise my shoulder. See, young men, since I wouldn't listen, now when my 2 sons score a touchdown, Tony, I'm at the game like this, touchdown. Everybody laughing, my son's embarrassed. They like, "Who daddy? That ain't my daddy." Because I wouldn't listen. Young people, you all got to listen to somebody. Hindsight is 20/20 vision. The people in this room, they could tell you what's coming. My coach picked me up, took me home. He knocked on my door, knock, knock, knock. My mom, who went to a state-approved Negro high school, the only thing she wanted for her 6 children was an education. She answered the door. My coach said, "Miss Mack, I'm sorry to tell you about your son will never be able to play basketball." My mom looked at me, and she only had one thing to say. She said, "What are you going to do now? We told you to study. We told you to study." I said, "Mama, what about my shoulder?" She said, "Boy, shut up and get in this house." That's a real mama. There, we need more mamas like that. I came in the house, I laid in the bed, I looked up and said, "God, what am I going to do about my shoulder?" And God said, "Boy, don't worry about your shoulder. You're going to do more for this world with your head than you ever thought you'd do with your legs and your arms." Young people, I got up the next day and I went to school to find my favorite teacher, Miss V. When I walked into the classroom, I said, "Miss V, you heard about my..." She said, "Shut up, Kelvin, we heard about your shoulder." She said, "But what are you going to do now? We told you to study. We told you to study." I said, "I don't know, Miss V." Miss V said, "Kelvin, tell me something." I said, "I don't know." Miss V said, "Kelvin, I don't know ain't good enough no more in the 21st century. She said, 21st century, Michael, there are only going to be 2 types of people. It'll be those in the know and those not in the know. Young people, we're here today, and we've been here for 26 years because we want you all to be in the know. She said, "Tell me something." Kelvin, "Sorry, Miss V, I want to be an engineer." She said, "Who? You?" See, sometimes the people closest to us who really don't believe in us. Sometimes the people that live in your house. Sometimes it's your mama, your daddy, your boy, your girls, the people in the hood, people that don't want to see you do better. But it's a shame when it's the people who've been empowered to take you to another place. She said, "Who, you, Kelvin?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Kelvin, you know what an engineer does?" I said, "No, but it sounds real good." She said, "Well, look, Kelvin, you're going to be an engineer. You got to go to college." I said, "Bet." She said, "But Kelvin, nobody in your family ever been to college before." I said, "I'm going to go to college." She said, "All right, Kelvin, you're going to go to college. You have to go take this test." I said, "What test?" She said, "The SAT. Now, young people, man, are always trying to create tests to try to measure what's inside of you. So get used to it. But I was ignorant. And I was ignorant because I grew up in a house with no books. Now, don't get bent out of shape when people call you ignorant, Marvin. Ignorant means you just don't know. Stupid means there's no hope for you. Flavor Flav's stupid. I was just ignorant. I was so ignorant when she told me to go take the SAT, I thought SAT meant Saturday. No, and then I knew it meant Saturday because then she told me the test was on Genius. So that Friday, I took my little girlfriend to the game to support our team. After the game, I went to the little dance where I got my boogie on with my broke on. Then I took my girlfriend home, and I got up on Saturday morning to take my Saturday test. And when I showed up, all the little young people like you that had been to the North Metro DeKalb summer program, and the 100 Black Men summer program, the TRIO summer program, the Test Taker Skills summer program, and the Bay Area training program. They were there, and they were nervous, and they were biting their nails, but nobody could tell me nothing. Young man, I put my head down. They had to wake me up. I said, "Young man, wake up, take this test." And when they gave me that test, I was so ignorant. I looked at that test, Lamman, and I didn't know that word, it's a that word, it's a that word, it's a that word. So y'all know we do on those tests when we don't know what we supposed to know. I start going, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, B. Whoa, I better change this thing up. C, B, C, B, A. I know all y'all got through college. Dr. Franklin, I looked around, and I was the first one finished. I was like a bunch of dummies and putting my head back down. They had to wake me up, say, "Young man, wake up, go home." And young people back then, we didn't have Facebook, MySpace, YouTubes, and websites. We had to wait 6 weeks on our scores. So 6 weeks later, I went to the mailbox and I opened it up and I looked and I saw those scores. I opened it up and I pulled those scores out and I ripped them open and I looked at them and I said, oh yeah. And I went to school to find Miss V. When I got to school, Miss V said, Calvin, you got them? I said, I got them, Miss V. Miss V said, Calvin, how did you do? Ignorantly and confident, I looked at Miss V. I said, Miss V, I got 84%. She said, Calvin, 84% on the SAT? I said, yes. She said, Calvin, I never heard the test explained in percentages before. Hey, Ronald, she said, I never heard the test explained in percentages before. She said, Calvin, what's your raw score? What's your total score? Ignorantly and confident, I looked at Miss V and I screamed, 840. She said, no, boy, you got some issues. She said, Calvin, the test is not out of 1,000. The test is out of 1,600. You don't have 84%. You barely have 50%. That's not good. You need to go take that test again. So, no, not that Saturday test. I stick with my Friday test. I do much better on Friday. But Ms. V would not give up on me, just like 100 black men would not give up on the youth and the black boys and girls of America. She said, Calvin, you still want to be an engineer? I said, bet. She said, Calvin, man cannot create a test to measure what's inside of you if you're willing to work towards it. She just happened to point at her. She pointed and she said, Calvin, on Saturday there's a college recruitment fair in the New Orleans Superdome. Go there. And then next Saturday I went down to that Superdome and I kicked that door open. And when I walked in, the first table I saw, Mr. Billington, was the Georgia Tech engineers. It's like divine intervention. God, I want to be an engineer. And the first table I see is the Georgia Tech engineers. And I walk over to that table. And I get to that table, the guy at Georgia Tech said, what can I do for you, son? I said, man, I'd like to be an engineer. He said, you came to the right place. We the rambling wreck from Georgia Tech and heck of engineers. I was like, yeah. He said, son, what's your SAT score? Ignorantly and confident, I looked at him and I screamed, 840. He was shaking his head. He wouldn't even give me an application. He said, boy, you can't come down to school in 840. I've never even heard anything like that. See, young people, when we don't do what we're supposed to do, they give men and women the right to slam doors in our face. As a matter of fact, when we don't do what we're supposed to do, they didn't slam the door in our face. We slammed it in our own face. We got to get busy. That dude said, I can't do nothing for you, man. He just happened to point at a table across the way. Dr. Franklin, it was a table with, didn't even have a handkerchief on it, just had a dude at the table. And I went over to that table, and when I got to that table, the guy said, what can I do for you, man? I said, man, I don't know, that dude over there told me to come over here. He said, son, what you want to be? I said, I want to be an engineer. He said, you came to the right place. He said, son, what's your SAT score? He said, I said, man, I can play some ball. He said, no, man, what's those scores? I said, man, I can dance. He said, no, I need those scores. This time, young people, I whispered. I said, 840. He was shaking his head. I said, I tell you what, son, you're a diamond in the rough, but you're a diamond sure enough. He said, come on. Sign right here and come to Morehouse College. We'll make you into a doctor. We'll make you into a lawyer. We'll make you into an engineer. In June 1985, my mom took me to Morehouse College. Now I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and we talk funny. We don't know it, but y'all know it. We talk funny. And when I got to Morehouse, everybody laughed at the way I was talking because I was saying things like, I'm bout it, how you do that there, and I'm the man right here. You heard me, little Wodies, off the heezy for sheezy up in here, cousin. You see, Dr. Brown, I'm bilingual. I'm bilingual. Just because our kids didn't come from another island on a boat or a piece of paper or cardboard, maybe they need ESL, English as a second language. Because in the house I came up in, nobody was conjugating the verb to be. It was I be, we be, you be, all us be up in here. Morehouse said, boy, C-spot run. I was like, no. They said, right. They said, don't pass go. Morehouse said, go directly to remedial reading. They said, boy, you're reading on about an 8th grade level. Can you imagine the pain, indignation I felt when all my friends was going to World Lit and English Comp? And I had to go down to a basement of a building with 8th graders, where they called me and my buddy LD for Louisiana dummies. And thank God, Morehouse College, Dr. Franklin, understand the 5 wells, and we believe in hope and inspiration. Every day they have a quote on the wall from Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, and it says that when you find out you're behind in a race of life, you got 2 choices, run faster or quit. Young people, every day we got to get up and run faster. College Board has already, Bill Gates already did a report that said that 30% of 9th graders are not going to finish high school, and if they're black and brown, it's 50%. And this country stopped spending money on everything except one thing, that's the building of jails, because they know when you drop out of school, you're going to drop into jail. So we are here today to make sure that that doesn't happen. Morehouse took me and put me in the basement of that building in front of a computer. And every day they let the words go by faster and faster and faster. And I read and I read and I read. And after 3.5 years, young people, after being told that I wasn't college material, after 3.5 years, I finished Morehouse, #1 in mathematics, #5 in the largest class that Morehouse had ever produced, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Thank you. And when I came off the stage, somebody said, Mackie, who'd ever thought you'd come to Morehouse to do the things you've done? What are you going to do now? I said, man, you know what? He said, what? I said, bro, you know what? He said, what? I said, bro, I'm going to go to Georgia Tech. It's only 1.5 miles away and a $1.50 bus ride. Young people don't allow anybody to stand in the well of your dreams, not your race, not your sex, not your mama or your crackhead daddy. Nobody. 2 weeks later, I started Georgia Tech in 1989. 18 months later, in 1990, I received a BS in mechanical engineering, 2 degrees in 5 years to the inner city, ghetto kid from back of town, Gert Town, Zion City of New Orleans, who they said never should have been in college in the first place. 2 years after, I got a master's in mechanical engineering. 3 degrees in 7 years. Exxon, Mobil, Chevron came down trying to give me interviews. Chevron really wanted me. Chevron gave me job interviews in Bakersfield, California, Texas, El Paso, Beaumont, Texas, Pascagoula, Mississippi. I turned them all down. But Chevron gave me a job interview in my hometown of New Orleans. It took me to a high-rise building, took me to the top of the building, and gave me a check for $50,000 at 24 years old and said, join our organization. It took me to the roof, young people. They put me in a helicopter. They flew me over my house, flew me over to an oil rig, put me in a seaplane, flew me back in, put me in a limo, brought me back to the top. They said, Kelvin, you down with us? I said, man, you don't understand. When I was 12 years old, I put doctor on my door. Now, I thought I was going to be Dr. J. But since that didn't work out, I heard Georgia Tech has something else left in there. And 4 years later, in 1996, I became one of 11 African Americans in the country that year to receive a PhD in mechanical engineering. Now, young people, thank you. Don't get it twisted. This is not about me, but about the greatness in you. I didn't come here today to brag. I came here today, and the 100 Black Men of America brought me here today to tell you that story, to let you know that each and every one of us been impregnated with something so great, such that if we give birth to it, it'll make Bill Gates look like a midget in the annals of